New York's classic rock, Q1043.
Gary Gulman is with us here at Q104.3, along with Caroline from Caroline's.
Good
And,
morning.
and of course, Caroline puts together the annual New York Comedy Festival, and the 17th annual New York Comedy Festival runs from Monday, November 8th through Sunday, November 14th. And Gary, you're headlining Carnegie Hall with your show,
Yes.
Gary Gulman, Born on Third Base.
Yes.
That'll
Yes.
be Saturday, November 13th at 8 p.m. Usually when you say someone was born on third base, that's a bad thing.
Yes. Well, the whole thing is that it's bad to be born on third base and to think you hit a triple. That's the full thing. I don't believe I hit a triple. I believe I was born on third base because I was born a white male and of above average intelligence and super cute. At least until I was about 45, and now I've fallen off as I gray. But I think I wanted to highlight the fact that my life was pretty easy, despite the fact that I grew up poor, and so it's a very funny show. I don't really put in any political type things, but it's it's biographical, I think, or autobiographical because I wrote it.
Well, when you went to college, it was on a sports scholarship, right?
Yes, exactly. So that was the thing. I had nothing to do with the fact that I was 6'6" and 255 pounds as a senior in high school and very athletic. So I feel these were gifts that put me on third base, and so I sort of highlight that in the show, and it's very exciting to be performing at Carnegie Hall, which it's not a dream come true because I never had the audacity to dream that I would perform my jokes at Carnegie Hall. So it's more of this incredible opportunity that Caroline and the New York Comedy Festival has afforded me. So I'm incredibly grateful.
Okay, it's kind of a stupid question, and I beg your forgiveness in advance. But when you had to keep the attention of a class as a high school teacher, did that help to hone your performing skills?
Well, Jim, I actually used to make a deal with them at the beginning of class. I would say if they behaved and didn't drive me crazy for a half hour, I would spend the last 10 minutes doing some stand up. So it worked most of the time. And it also, yes, it definitely helped me to be more comfortable in front of audiences, and also to be a little bit more confident as far as there's no worse audience than high school kids.
What did you teach?
I was the building substitute, so I would teach anything from English to shop to chemistry and geometry. I mean, I covered just about everything, and I was able to stay ahead of the kids if I had the opportunity to prepare the night before, which was usually the case.
Wait, you were a substitute teacher. That means that you became intimately acquainted with being heckled from the start.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. But because I was the building sub, I built up sort of a reputation over the months that I was sort of the substitute who could entertain you at the end of class if you were to behave. So it was really hard at the beginning, and then became easier and easier, and I developed a really nice relationship with the kids because I was there every day.
Well, prior to your performance at Carnegie Hall on November 13th, prior to actually going on stage in front of the no doubt packed house, you'll probably have an opportunity at some point during the day that day to go to Carnegie Hall while it's still empty and walk out onto the stage, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can't wait.
Well, when you're there on the stage, you can whisper, and in every inch of Carnegie Hall, people would be able to hear you. You don't even need amplification. I mean, the
I
acoustics
didn't
are that good.
I didn't know that, and it's funny because a friend of mine who had performed there said that he said the acoustics are weird, and I thought that was I would have rather had a congratulations, but his response to hearing that I was at Carnegie Hall was that the acoustics were weird, and I said, "Well, do you think it's too late to get out of it?" I I I am amazed that the acoustics are that good. I guess he meant the acoustics are weird in which they're perfect.
I guess so. I guess, but
Yeah,
Carnegie Hall is such a big deal. It really
yeah,
is.
yeah.
And
I'm
and
so
s-
thrilled.
and you've been a big deal now for quite some time. I mean, you have several comedy albums, comedy specials, including The Great Depression on HBO. That was a good title.
Yeah, that was sort of the that was my last biographical thing. That detailed my journey from the psych ward at Cornell Weill to performing again after taking months off and sort of recovering my life. And so that's the other part of this is that I fell so far and now I'm performing at Carnegie Hall. So it's quite a victory for me. I'm so grateful.
And how far are you come at, at what point are you in writing your memoir?
My memoir, it's called K through 12, and it's a memoir of my grade school life. So I've written first through sixth and 10th grade. So I'm about halfway through.
And that'll be published by Flatiron Books.
Yes.
When I read the title K through 12, it made me feel terribly inadequate, and I'll have to speak to my therapist about it because if I were to write a book, I'd have to call it K through 10, but that's another story. And Caroline, choosing a headliner for the New York Comedy Festival at Carnegie Hall is a difficult task because the comedy festival always attracts such incredible talent. You must have really seen something very special in Gary.
Well, we thought that Gary fit there. It was just the place that Gary should be at this point in his career, to be at Carnegie Hall. We go through this. It's, performers pick stages that they want to be on. They haven't played before, and they will go out there and and do their best for that new venue that they're on. So Gary fit right into what we were doing this year, and we're so happy to have him because Gary and I have not worked together in a number of years. When Gary first started his career, he used to be on the stage at Caroline's on Broadway way back in the early 90s.
Hmm.
And we're
Well,
we're
there
having
are
a good time work together again.
well, Caroline, you've put together over 100 shows, 200 comedians for the festival. I mean that's an incredible accomplishment.
Yeah, what's going on right now in the country, that is an accomplishment with people canceling shows. But we went out this year, we're trying to do our best to fill smaller venues around the city, just so that they get a taste of what we do, but also to bring some business back to them because they suffered the most. All the small performing venues around the country really were shut down for almost 15 months. It
Hmm.
was mandatory that in New York that we were shut down. So it was all across the country also, and they lost a terrific amount of revenue. And hopefully this will help them get back on track.
And for a performer like Gary, having a connection with your audience, I would imagine, is psychically important. And to be kept away from the stage for so long had to have been a burden.
Yeah, it was tough because I will say that part of my recovery was being able to go out and be around people at night and get that shot of adrenaline and dopamine from making strangers laugh. So it was there were times when I was white knuckling through the pandemic, but I'm so grateful that we've returned in full force, and I think this is just, I mean, as far as comedy festivals go, this is the best one in the country. So I'm just I'm so honored and grateful for this.
Well, it's the best one in the country because Caroline produces it,
Yes,
and
yes,
and
absolutely.
and she is synonymous with comic performance and New York City. I mean, she's as big a star as any of the
Oh,
performers that will.
really, Jim?
You're
Oh,
so well known. You know that. Look, doesn't everybody know Caroline?
Yes, yes, absolutely. And the other thing is that when I started doing comedy, there were essentially two venues that my mother and family, these are just a bunch of old Jews, that they had heard of, and one of them was Caroline's and the other one is Carnegie Hall. So th this
ah,
is this is remarkable.
Oh, yeah, I had my 20th anniversary at Caroline's we did at Carnegie Hall, and that was kind of the stimulus for the New York Comedy Festival.
Oh, wow.
We did that 20, almost 20 years ago, and it was such a great night, and we were able to, work with performers that kind of graduated the Caroline stage. So that's why we decided to do the festival, because then I get to work with people that came through Caroline's, and I can still have a relationship and work with them in the future. And that's how the Comedy Festival was born, out of
Now,
the 20th anniversary of Caroline's. Next year is like the 40th anniversary. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Where did time go?
Wow.
and you still look
Amazing.
the same. All the rest of us, we don't, but you still do, Caroline. Um, now, sadly, Norm
Yes.
Macdonald was scheduled to perform at Caroline's several times during the festival, and what a great loss that
And
was.
and he was scheduled for this year.
Right, right. I'm just
Scheduled this
I'm
year.
looking at the schedule. He
We
was scheduled for this
we got the
year.
news yesterday from his agent, and I have to tell you, we were so devastated in the office. Norm was our Caroline's, like, always there for us, always a fun person to have, always in great spirits, always had fun with him in the dressing room, fooling around with him before we went on stage, joking around and bringing people back there to meet him. He will certainly be missed. He's the comedian's comedian, so well respected, and one of the greatest guys around. Really, we really, really mourn him. And I can't tell you how, there were tears in people's eyes in the office yesterday. I was beside myself. I
And
really
all
was.
over and all over
And for
America.
years he worked with us. No one knew, what he was really fighting. And I guess it just got the better of him right now. But I have to tell you how devastated we are about this.
Well, the venues include, among many other places, the Apollo Theater, the Beacon Theater, Carnegie Hall, where, of course, you will have a chance to see Gary. Uh, Caroline's, obviously, on Broadway, the Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden, Town Hall, Borough of Manhattan Community College, Tribeca Performing Arts Center. I mean, putting this whole thing together is no doubt an incredible project. But you've been able to pull it off again, Caroline. And tickets to all the events are available for purchase and on sale now at nycomedyfestival.com. Now, Gary, you're also an actor.
Yes. Yes, I do some acting, yes.
Well, tell us a little more about that.
Well, I mean, most recently I was in Amy Schumer's new show that I think is premiering in November, and I I had like 5 or 6 episodes, and it was so much fun because I got to work with a bunch of New York comedians
Mhm.
on set, like David Tell and Amy and Yamanika Saunders played my love interest, and it was so much fun. And that's the beautiful thing of New York comedy and Amy Schumer in particular is that she gives work to so many people who are involved in her life off camera, and it was so much fun. And I mean, just to echo what Caroline said about Norm Macdonald, he was really I mean, beyond being the greatest stand-up comedian I've ever seen, he was a beautiful person who was so kind to other comedians, and it's just such an enormous loss to lose such a beautiful soul and somebody who just was himself, no matter how famous he got. He was just such a treasure, and it's heartbreaking for him because it's interesting, Caroline. I don't know if you noticed this as much as I did. He was obsessed with living. He really loved life, and it's just so sad. And yeah, we all shed many tears over this.
It was just, he will be so missed. He was one of the menschiest men around,
Yes, yes, mensch is the perfect word for it.
and just embrace, and he embraced all the new talent coming up. He really tried to
Yeah,
help people out. He really did.
Well,
yeah,
it's really important for an established performer to do that. Not all of them do, but when you're a big star, when there's unanimity as to what an extraordinary talent you are, it gives you the opportunity to do so much good.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean it's so easy for somebody at that level to make someone's day, and Norm did it so frequently and so generously, and that's, I mean, that's of course, along with his talent, that's something that will be missed sorely.
So Gary Gulman at Carnegie Hall with his show Born on Third Base. That's Saturday, November 13th, 8 p.m. It's part of the 17th Annual New York Comedy Festival, which opens on Monday, November 8th, and concludes with performances on Sunday, November 14th. Now, Caroline, Broadway's slowly reopening. Wicked is back, and The Lion King is back, and Hamilton is back, and that brings a lot more people into the neighborhood. So you must be breathing a big sigh of relief.
Yeah, we were waiting for this to happen, and it started last night, and we saw more and more people on the street. Actually, yesterday we saw more and more people walking around Midtown also, which is a good sign. But I want to tell everybody about, coming to the shows. These, in New York City, we are vaccinated. We take every precaution. It's safe to go out. And I just want to just keep talking about how it's safe to go back, and we need to get back to what we were doing before this all started. And going to a comedy show, what could be better? I mean, laughing all night. So, go out, go see Gary at Carnegie Hall. It'll be a wonderful, wonderful show. And we're just waiting for everybody to get back to normal, but it will be safe.
Yeah,
And
I've been working out in the clubs in the city, and I can't tell you how excited the audiences are to be there, and how every precaution is being taken, from shaking out the taking out the microphones in between sets and things like that. And it's I feel very safe performing in the clubs, and so I know that's a consideration for people, and we're doing everything we can to make it safe.
And taking a look at the schedule here, I see that on Thursday, November 11th, at the festival, Colin Quinn, the only actor in all of New York City who has never appeared on any episode of Law and Order, will be performing, and that's one. That's one of the things that makes Colin very unique. Well, remember, tickets are, I heard him do a routine on that one night. It was absolutely hilarious.
Oh, it's one of the funniest things I've seen. And Colin is another guy who is so generous to the young comedians, and really is in that Norm Macdonald class of brilliance and kindness. And I adore him.
Well, remember, tickets to all events are available for purchase and are on sale right now at nycomedyfestival.com. It's the 17th Annual New York Comedy Festival. And remember, Gary Gulman, Carnegie Hall. It's a big deal. And Gary, so nice to meet you. And
Same
Caroline,
here, Jim. Thank you.
so nice to see you. And hopefully
Nice.
I'll be bellied up to the bar down those stairs before too long to say hi to you.
Okay, we'll be looking for you.
Amazing,
Drinks on
Jim.
me. Drinks on me, Jim.
Okay, well,
Thank
thank you.
you. And if I don't see you, Jim, have a great Yom Kippur.
A good yontif to you.
Thank
Done.
you.
New York's classic rock. Q1043.